this computer. All right. So welcome, and more welcome. Nothing but the welcomes. Thank you guys for joining us once again. Thank you guys for being a part of this class. For today, we're going to talk primarily on entrepreneurship and what it means to starting a business. Okay. Starting business is no joke. It takes a lot of guts, a lot of courage, and sometimes, unfortunately, a lot of failures. So when we talk about the area of entrepreneurship, it's all about taking that leap of faith, starting a company, and eventually making sure that that company will succeed. So what we're going to talk about today is defining entrepreneurship and describing the three characteristics of what entrepreneurship means, what kind of activity is in line. So we're going to identify five potential advantages to starting your own business. We're going to define a small business and explain a little bit more about the importance of a small business. Because again, if you guys remember about businesses in Canada, you have millions of businesses in Canada. However, a good part of the businesses are very small business. Okay, one individual, 2, 10, 15. They're the force that drives our economy. They're the ones who are creating a bit of a push, a bit of a movement in our economy, and they get rewarded. They get rewarded quite frequently. And a lot of these small businesses are run by, entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are basically driving our economy. So for many Canadian politicians, they see that an entrepreneur is someone that is creative, someone that fosters innovation, and that's why they want to invest a lot of money in it. So we have to define and explain to you guys the importance of a small business and how it impacts our economy, as well as explain why small businesses tend to foster innovation more effectively than bigger corporations, because again, bigger corporations have their eyes set on goals and success. So a lot of times when we describe the goods producing and service producing sectors of our economy, there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are available on it. Okay, even on theory, myself, I have my own company, but I'm a one man show. Okay, I'm a one man company, and I do hire people, but they're like outside people. But even those people are entrepreneurs. Okay, so it's like entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs almost. So a lot of times when we describe goods producing and service producing, we're going to explain what it takes to start a business and evaluate the advantages as well as disadvantages, unfortunately, of starting a business from scratch, buying into an existing business, or obtaining a franchise. So we're going to talk a little bit about why do business fails and hopefully understand a little bit more about the whole business environment. So a little bit more about some areas of interest in business. There's a company called Collective Arts Brewing. They're in Hamilton. They had a passion. The owners of the company who started Collective Arts Brewing, they like beer. Okay. And beer, I mean, listen, I'm not a big fan of drinking these days. I'm getting too old. But back in my youth, I used to drink quite a lot of beer, and it's an enjoyable, circumstance. It's a very Canadian thing. But beer, especially with brewing a beer, it becomes very, very exciting. Okay, and people like took a passion in microbrewing, and throughout the last 15, 20 years, we've seen a lot of beers pop into the market. And the reason behind this is that a lot of entrepreneurs are taking advantage of opening up their own chain and opening up their own attributes. So Matt Johnson, he started an exciting company in which he was passionate about beer and art. And whether you think about art, he liked design, he liked artists, he liked music, and he created something that is more than just a drink. It's also a movement. It's also an idea. So eventually, when he started to look at collective arts brewing, he started to understand that these individuals play such an important role on the area and the interest of what they hopefully we're going to be foretold about. Okay. But eventually, the idea was that there were so many beer companies out there. You got the Labatt, you got the Molson, the Budweiser, and they have other microbrewers along the way of Collective Arts Brewing doing the same thing. So what do they stand out with? So clearly, they showcase a lot of artists, and they showcase artists who are interested in their product, artists who want to be unique, and also they showcase the artist. So it's almost like a mix of art and beer put together. Okay. And I bought from them before. I just wanted to try out the beer. And their beer is really good, but also it's showcasing an art on the beer as well. So it creates awareness, it creates social media, corporate responsibility, and so much more. So that's the idea of what entrepreneurship is, okay? Cracking a market when nobody else cracked before. So to give you a better explanation on it, I have a video that I like to present to the class. And that video will showcase a little bit more about what brewers do and how brewers like Collective Arts Brewing succeed. Basically, we want to ask a question about what is an entrepreneur and what makes an entrepreneur. Okay? So take a look at this video with share sound. Thumbs it up if you can hear it, and let it rip.
So what exactly is an entrepreneur? It's just a fancy word for someone who starts a new business. And if you've ever wondered what it means to be one, then look no further. The folk here at Big Ideas Wales know that there's no one better to tell you what's involved and the skills you'll need than entrepreneurs. So we asked some. Their answers can be summed up in 4 words: attitude, creativity, relationships, and organization. So let's have a look at attitude. Having a positive attitude will get you a long way, even when sometimes things are not going the way you'd like them to. Be confident in your ideas, believe in yourself, and persevere. It's your determination to see things through that will make things happen. What about creativity? Well, think of it as solving a problem. All you need is a little imagination, look at something with a fresh pair of eyes, think a bit differently, and bingo! You've done it. You've just come up with a brilliant new idea. So take a look around and ask yourself, how could I make that just that bit better? Tap into that brilliant imagination that you have, and off you go. Okay, now relationships. Running a business is definitely a people thing. Having a good relationship with your customers, employees, suppliers, partners, and other businesses is essential for success. Be willing to talk to everyone and listen to what they have to say. The more people you know, the easier it will be for you to use your powers of persuasion and get things done. And lastly, organization. To get to grips with the day-to-day running of a business, good organization skills are essential. You'll need to understand how to raise finance, manage your money, and deal with tax. You'll need to set up systems to make your business tick, from IT systems to planning and record keeping. The more organized you are, the smoother things will run. Yes, there's a lot to consider, but many entrepreneurs told us that they asked friends, family, colleagues, and professionals for help along the way, so you're not alone. Starting a business is an exciting adventure, full of new experiences, with some highs, some lows, some tough decisions, and a lot of hard work. But as an entrepreneur, the power is in your hands. Just tap into that imagination of yours, be positive, be friendly, be organized, and you'll surely be very successful. For inspiration and information on becoming Wales's next young entrepreneur, visit Big Ideas Wales.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so coming back to our conversation, when we start to look at entrepreneurship, the idea, of course, that like Collective Arts, the nature of entrepreneurship is very unique when we learn it. Innovation is very important. Entrepreneurship generally means offering a new product, applying a new technique or technology, opening a new market, a new product, or developing a new form of organization for the purpose of producing or enhancing the product. Okay. That's the idea here of a entrepreneur innovation. But running a business, and as we saw in the foundation of business in chapter number 1, combines the resources to produce goods and services. And entrepreneurship means setting up a business to make a profit. Okay. So it's all down the line of risk taking. Okay. The term risk means that outcome of the entrepreneurial venture can't be known. Entrepreneurs, therefore, are always working under a certain degree of uncertainty, and they can't know that the outcomes of many of their decisions. Consequently, many of the steps that they take are also motivated mainly by their confidence in their innovation and their understandings of business environments in which they're operating in. Okay. So when we start to look at innovation, when we're going to a type of innovation that we want to get, the idea behind this is that we want to go and we want to ask ourselves the major question: can we be able to successfully go into the business? Okay. And the question now is, we may have a chance to do that. Okay. And if you want to ask that question, I left you here a quiz. It's under Quizzer. As you can see, there's a link on it. Simply click on our folder, click on week 8, and you will be able to view it if you would like. Okay. So take it and see for yourself. Am I ready to start a company? If you are, awesome. Maybe I'll be an investor. But if you're not, definitely it tells you where you sit in that parameter. So why do people start their own company at the end of the day? What do you think that would happen? And the answer is, of course, there's a lot of reasons, but the reason why you start their own business is that some people don't like to be bossed around. That's a reality. Okay. They don't like to be bossed around because they simply are told what to do, when to do it. And when you work with a company, normally when you work at an organization, you're told when to come in, you're told what to do, how to do it. And if essentially when you get paid in a company, whether you're working today or not, and I'm not saying that by working right now, you want to quit and leave, but let's look at the reality. Okay. The reality is you work for a company. The company is using you, not in the worst form, but not in the best form, to make a profit. And essentially you're giving back your time and service for a wage so that that company can profit. So here's a good example. Look at a restaurant. When people open up their own restaurant and they have, like, I'm just throwing a number, 20 tables, and you become a server at the table, you will get paid per hour plus tip. So, so you got to work on the weekends, very busy, 10-hour shift. Okay. And when you work a 10-hour shift, okay, and let's say it's packed to capacity, you will be making $150 that day. On top of that, you're also going to be making tips. Okay. So assuming that you run 10 tables, assuming that most people stay an hour, hour and a half, and assuming that all of them would pay evenly $10 per table, you're going to be making in every 2 hours something in a range of like $100. Okay, not bad. Listen, guys, not bad. So you're telling me that a waiter makes $150 plus would make something in a range of, I'm just putting a number out there, $100 every 2 hours, which means they're netting $500 plus $150 for that shift. Okay, so you're looking at $650 for 10 hours of work, or roughly $65 an hour. Not bad, right? Not bad. However, there's a lot of things that go into it. Sometimes you don't get the sales. Sometimes you don't get the amount. Sometimes people don't give you tips. And even worse, you have to share the tips. Okay. However, when you look at what goes in a tip, sometimes they give a percentage of the amount that's being given. So a lot of times, you know, you're working 10 hours and the owner is making off of you on those tables. Let's say every table, 500, do the vice versa. He's making, I know this may hurt, $5,000 off of you. And what to make worse is that table, you only have 10 tables. You also have another 10 tables of your coworker. That's another $5,000. So in just about two individuals, they're making off of you, okay, roughly about $10,000. Okay. But then you have to think about it that they pay the rent, they pay the insurance, the risk, they have to pay a chef, they have to pay the operations. It's not just, $10,000 brute. Okay. But that's what they're probably destined to make every single day. Okay. And you have like, 365 days a year. And if you operate properly, you can make somewhere in the range of like $3 million, over $3 million. Okay. So the idea here is you want to accommodate a desired lifestyle. And we've seen that a lot of people they like to be their own boss. And some of the characteristics that distinguish those who start a business from those who don't, or more to the point, why do people actually follow through on their decisions that they're in business? And the most common decision is also to have a good lifestyle, to make sure that, some people like to be night owls, meaning that they like to wake up late and, sleep late. If you're one of those people, then hey, listen, some people like to start their entrepreneurship at like, afternoon and go until the wee hours of the morning or midnight. They also want to achieve financial independence. So again, when you work at a company, the idea is you work, okay, but most of us are dependent on getting a mortgage, a loan, a lease, going to, let's say, OSAP or a bank and taking lines of credit. All these things are important for us to make sure that we can pay off our bills, okay? But at the same time, we also want to achieve some form of financial freedom. Okay, so the idea here is that you want to achieve some freedom, some relaxation, and you want to use your skills to achieve those knowledges all together. Okay, so the idea is that when you start to look at all these major issues. The idea here is that we have to understand that whenever we start to realize what the issues might be, we start to understand that when you start to look at the catalyst, okay, amongst why people start a business, there's a lot of reasons why they want to do it. But at the end of the day, the main reason how they want to achieve their business is that they want to be able to get something away from it. Okay. And for many of us, we just want the freedom, and the freedom is the most important aspect of doing business. So, question you ask yourself before you leave my class and you want to start your own business, I want to ask you, are you a self-starter? Okay. Do you need my assistance? Meaning that, you need me to micromanage you, or could you do it by yourself? Okay. You'll develop and follow through on your ideas. How well do you get along with different personalities? Okay. Different customers, hot-headed, cool-headed, no-headed, strong work relationships, strong work ethics with a variety of people that are critical to you. How good are you at making decisions, especially under pressure? Do you have any physical and emotional stamina? Um, do you expect 6 or 7 work days of about 12 hours every week? Okay. That might be hard for some people. Okay. Are you willing to work 6 days a week? Some people say no, they like the weekends. Okay. And when people like the weekends, they definitely want to be able to have a very, emotional healthy stamina. That's okay. We all like the weekends. The weekend is almost 2 hours away from us. But do you also have, how do you plan and organize yourself? Do you have poor planning skills, and are you a culprit in most business failures? Because again, if you can't plan well, it could be a problem. How will your business affect family and friends? Members need to know what to expect, especially from long hours, um, you know, personal affection, and initially a modest standard of living until you start to hit the jackpot. So, especially when you look at entrepreneurship, it does play an important role on why some people just simply do not want to go and jump and take a risk on it. Okay. And we got some fan mail. I love fan mail. What kind of business do you think a student can start in the Canadian economy? Not bad. Hey, listen, a lot of times service, okay, especially as a student, could work out for you. Here's a good example. I had a student, okay, he was mobile. And again, he built a skill around that, but he was cleaning cars. Okay. Now, is cleaning cars something you enjoy? I'm not sure. Okay. But you have to invest in the material. And if you're doing mobile, you have to go to the customer's location. But if you clean people's cars, it can net you like $300 per run. And it might take you about 3 to 4 hours. So this individual cleaned cars for about 300 bucks. Okay. And he did it 2 cars in a day. But on top of that, he had to buy materials. On top of that, he had to buy equipment. Some places did not have water. And especially in other cases, you also have to drive to the customer. So this guy was in Oshawa and he drove all the way to my house. So those kind of things are important, okay? Other times, you can use knowledge. You can be able to, especially on the skills that you get, you can be able to hopefully formulate some ideas, okay? Especially for what you learned, experiences, possibly doing some, extra services that you may see fit. Those things can help you along the way, okay? So whatever good skill you might have, definitely there's a business around it. Or vice versa, if you don't have the idea yet, a lot of times people they do work in different industries, and after 5, 6 years of working in that industry, they end up opening up their own business. Okay, so like restaurants, for example, a lot of people open up the restaurants. Either they have family who opened up a restaurant before, or since they were like 15 or 16, they worked in a restaurant bussing tables, cooking food, managing it, and eventually they open up their own franchise or their own restaurant. All right, but beyond that, businesses do fail. Okay, don't think that businesses, always are prone to success. We don't know, but in many cases, they may fail as well. Okay. And one of the biggest problems is money. Money is that without money, you can't get very far in the world these days. What people do is that they line up initial financing early, or at least have done enough research to plan and raise money before they go. So, again, if you want to start up your own car cleaning company, that means you need a car. Cars cost like, let's say, $5,000. You buy a car, you drive around, and gas is like $70. So 5,000 plus 70 bucks. And you have to buy equipment and items. So initially, what's going to happen is you're going to lose $6,000 in the beginning. But if that business succeeds, then eventually you can start to net quite a lot of money. And that's where you can start to earn really good cash. Okay. Other time, it's security. A lot of people who do not want to sacrifice their steady income that comes with the 9 to 5 job. People simply do not want to leave that. Okay. So they get a good salary, they get a good pay, why leave it, right? So what do people do? They don't give up their day job. They run the businesses part-time, either on the weekends or at night, and they want to connect with someone to help run their business as a co-founder. Okay. So eventually they work 9 to 5, but that co-founder would work maybe in the morning and then at night they work. And then afterwards you would work as well. So maybe working for partner might help you. Okay. The more the merrier. Sometimes people are scared of competition. So a lot of people don't know how to distinguish their business ideas from similar ideas. The solution here is to figure out how to do something cheaper, faster, or better. So a lot of times the idea like the beer, everybody can make beer in honesty, or in all honesty. You only need wheat, barley, hops, and wheat, barley, hops, and grain, and some water. You put it in a jug and you get beer. That's it. So what makes a beer more unique than the others? It's all about the story. It's all about the competition and the segment that you want to market. But nonetheless, of course, the idea is also very important. So if you lack ideas, some people simply don't know what sort of business they want to get into or what to do. So a lot of times they want to find out what trends are successful nowadays. And sometimes, and I just want to bring back Shibuzu. Shibuzu asked me, what can I do as a student to get into a business in the Canadian economy? And Shibuzu and all the other students who are thinking about a business, how about this? Turn a hobby into a business. Okay. You like something. Okay. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie. I got students from Nigeria. Their fashion is fantastic. I love it. Okay. If you can get into that business, like if you like clothes, I'd love to wear some Nigerian fashion designers. Okay. Why not? They're colorful, they're eventful, they're nice. I'd love to see something happen. So a lot of times, many people who open up their own business, they do something they love. So, for example, I had a friend. Here's a good example. A friend of mine, he had his own company already that he learned because he was a security guard, and he learned the tricks of the security guard. So he started up his own company. However, he came up to me one day and said, "Listen, I don't like being a security guard or running security business. It's a service. It sucks. There must be something better." He picked his hobby. His hobby was motorcycling. And he realized he could not find helmets in a GTA. So what he did was, because he had an office with some space, he bought at one point a small amount of helmets that was compliant with Canadian laws, that was, ready to go. And he bought them and started selling them off Kijiji, eBay, Facebook Marketplace. And then afterwards, he started buying more, designing them, making them even better. And he has his own brand. Why? Hobby. Okay. Listen, I tried to get into the motorcycle enthusiasm with him. He gave me his motorcycle, fell on the ground. He told me never touch my motorcycle again. I was like, sure, okay. I'm going back to school. I'm an educator. But you turn your hobby into a business, okay? So think about things that lack ideas. Sometimes when you lack ideas, some people simply don't have what sort of business they want to get into. So sometimes you could turn in a hobby into a business. Sometimes there's the hobby already there for you. You can also open up a franchise. So franchising is an option. You find a solution to something that annoys you. Entrepreneurs call us the pain point. And when you find a pain point, what you could do better, you try to turn it into a business. And that could help you along the way. Okay. Some food for thought there. Some more fan mail. Oh, I got a thumbs up. Wow, interesting. Thank you. That's a nice one. Definitely, guys. Listen, my trick of a trade, and I'll give you an idea that I did long ago. A long time ago, I realized that I could buy clothes for a cheaper price. I realized that I was looking for jerseys, and I knew that if I like jerseys, soccer jerseys, at one point in Canada, it was really hard to get. So I said to myself, if I like jerseys from soccer, somebody out there is gonna like it as well. There has to be, okay? And lo and behold, there was, okay? And I found customers in Quebec, in Nunavut. I had customers in Yukon, BC, Saskatchewan, the United States. Why? Because soccer at one point was lacking in Canada and the United States. And I said to myself, there has to be another way. And I found that way, but there was other people like me who found that way as well. And we all competed. Some did well, some did not, and some went back to school. And you look at one, okay? But nonetheless, of course, when you look at the early stages of entrepreneurship, when you start to look at entrepreneurship, where you can get the money from. A lot of times, family and friends could be an option. You can borrow the money, pitch the competitors, okay? Be able to crowd the funding as well. Be able to look at, say, angel investors, okay? And different venture capital firms that can help you along the way. So, as an entrepreneur, what you can do a lot of times with a great idea is that you may win funding through pitch competition. There's even pitch competition in Centennial College. Okay, just figure it out, and hopefully that can help you. Local municipalities can also help you, and government agencies. They're definitely there to understand the economic growth. Depends on new businesses and dynamic entrepreneurs. So when you will conduct such competition in the hopes of attracting them, crowdfunding has become a more common mean of raising funds. As entrepreneurs using this approach, they would typically utilize crowdfunding platforms like things like Kickstarter or GoFundMe, which is right here. So the idea here is that these GoFundMe pages, Kickstarter pages, allow you to become more of a means of raising capital. And the idea here is that you want to attract investors. So the entrepreneur might offer things like token of appreciation or their product in exchange for funds, or perhaps might offer an ownership stake of for a substantial amount of investment, meaning that I will accept your funds if you give me 10% of your company. Okay. So the idea here is that the entrepreneur might offer you something as a return, and you have to take a few moments to pursue or peruse Kickstarter or another site and see what types of businesses are proposed in your area and which are trending globally. And some entrepreneurs receive what we call angel investors, affluent investors who provide capital to startups in exchange for ownership for the position in a company. Okay, many angel investors are very successful entrepreneurs themselves and invest not only to make money but also to help aspiring businesses owners succeed. Okay, so venture capital firms also invest in startup companies, although usually at somewhat a later stage in their lives in larger dollar amounts. And it would typically be angel investors like angel venture firms that take ownership position in a company. They tend to have a higher expectation in making returns on their money, as do angel investors. But in many cases, they're willing to help you out with your company. Okay. So beyond that, what is a small business that we hopefully want you to make? With a small business, small businesses are known, as we saw in our discussion, are any company that's fewer than 100 people, meaning that you may have, multinational or um, coast to coast companies in Canada where they have offices everywhere, but they're only 100 people. They're still small. But in some cases, how small can you get? As long as there's a one person running it, that's a small business. So a small business is one that is independently owned and operated, and they have little influence in the industry. But because there's so many of them, they play such a big role in our economy. And a lot of times when we look at the bigger picture, we want to make sure that the bigger picture gives us something very, very influential. So why are small businesses so important and why do we care about them in our discussion? Well, when we look at the idea, aside from the contribution to the general economic and the health of the Canadian economy, founders of small businesses also contribute to growth and vitality in specific areas of economic and social economic development. In particular, small businesses do the following. They create jobs, okay, first and foremost. The majority of Canadian workers first enter the business world working in small companies. And for not everybody, for most of us, they do. And although the split between those working in small companies and those working in big companies is about even. Small firms, small companies hire more frequently than bigger firms. Okay. They also fire more frequently than bigger firms. Okay. Why is that happening? Because the realization is that at any given time, a lot of small companies are started and some expand, which is good. They hire more people, but these companies need workers, and so hiring takes place. But the survival and expansion rate for many small companies is poor. Okay. Many do not succeed. And so again, at any given point in time, when many companies expand, scale, and grow, and hopefully they'll grow, some small businesses close or contract and workers lose their job. So inevitably, many of you might be working in a small company, but please take into consideration many of these companies are very risky. Okay. So over time, more jobs are added by small companies than are taken away, which results in net increase in numbers of workers. And that also allows us to spark innovation. And the reason is what small businesses are very innovative. For one thing, please remember that they do offer environment that appeals to individuals with the talent to invent new products or improve the way things are done. Fast decision making is encouraged. The research programs tend to focus their compensation structures typically to reward top performers in their company. And according to one study, the supportive environment of small companies are roughly 13 times more innovative per employee than less innovative friendly ones are. Okay. So when you look at large firms, the success of small businesses in fostering creativity has not gone unnoticed by big businesses. In fact, many big companies have responded by downsizing to act more like small companies. Some large companies now have separated work units, which with that purpose spark innovation. Individuals working in these units can focus their attention on creating new products and can develop by the company and providing an opportunity for many people, providing opportunities for many people, including minorities, women, newcomers, people with disability. They give an opportunity for them to achieve financial success and independence. And in addition, they also complement the economic activity of large organization by providing them with components, service, and distribution of their products. And hopefully they can do it successfully at any given time. Okay. So to give you a good idea of what an entrepreneur looks like, I have another video I like to show the class. And this one is going to be about, um, let me just bring it up. This one is going to be primarily, and I'll bring it here, sorry, on advice from an entrepreneur. Okay. So I want to show you Richard Branson. Richard Branson, and let me just see if I get the sound right. Yes, it's on. Richard Branson owns Virgin Enterprise. It's Virgin Mobile, Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Airways, Virgin Music, Virgin Radio. He owns a lot of businesses, but he did it out that he loves music. He likes airplanes. He likes innovation. He likes everything, and he becomes a billionaire. So this is very, very important to understand and contemplate on how to do it and how to do it successfully. Take a look and
Well,
let
I
me know if
think
you can hear it.
uh, the most important thing about running a company is to remember all the time what a company is. A company is simply a group of people, and as a leader of people, you have to be a great listener, you have to be a great motivator, you have to be very good at praising and looking for the best in people. People are no different from flowers. If you water flowers, they flourish. If you praise people, they flourish, and that's a critical attribute of a leader. There is a very, very thin dividing line between success and failure. Most people who set up in business without financial backing, they fail at some times in their lives. and I've only just stayed at the right side of that dividing line. For instance, just after we had a record company, I was fed up flying on other people's airlines. I felt that the experience of flying on other people's airlines was an unpleasant one, and I decided to set up an airline. Our bank went into complete panic attack, and when I came back from doing the inaugural flight of Virgin Atlantic's very first flight from London to New York, I came back to find the bank manager sitting on my doorstep and informing me that they were going to close Virgin down on the Monday, and this was the Friday, and that I had 2 days to effectively pay them off the monies that they'd loaned us. I remember pushing the bank manager out of my house, telling him he wasn't welcome, which is a dangerous thing to do to your bank manager, and then spending the weekend ringing around the world to all of the distributors of our music, asking if they could give us a temporary loan to get us through the following week, which they were good enough to do. And by the end of the week, we'd changed banks. We'd actually managed to find a bank that was willing to lend us 30 times the overdraft facility that our bank had lent us, and we managed to survive. And I think the moral of that story is actually don't think of your bank as somebody that you're beholden to. I mean, people just don't move from one bank to another. Sometimes you need to be willing to step up and move your banks in the same way that you should step up and move your doctor on occasions. Or anyway, I learned from that lesson. Virgin does work very well without me. I mean, I use myself to build the brand, to build the sort of 300 or 400 companies around the world. But I also learnt the art of delegation. I have a fantastic team of people who run the Virgin companies, give them a lot of freedom to run the companies as if they were their own companies, give them the freedom to make mistakes. The Virgin brand is now maybe one of the top 20 brands in the world, well respected. When my balloon bursts, Virgin will continue to flourish. Maybe I had the icing on the cake on occasions. Maybe they'll have to spend a bit more money on marketing, but fortunately, Virgin is in a state where it can live on healthily without me.
Awesome. Fantastic. All right. So, I forgot to open up my screen. Okay. So what we'll do right now, guys, does anyone have any further questions for me? Anything that I can highlight about our conversation? Everybody's good? You guys heard it okay?
Hi, Professor.
Hello.
I have a question, but it's not very aligned to this topic.
Okay, what's your question?
Yeah, so actually, I had a difficulty and I sent you an email, but I sent you like 3 emails, then you never responded to any.
Okay.
So yeah, it was in relation to the AI discussion board.
AI, okay. Did you focus on the videos I left for you?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
But
and what did you get from it? What was your response?
Entrepreneur. Most of the advice focuses on the practicalities, writing a business plan, raising money, finding staff, marketing and PR. We'll go down a different route. In our eyes, at the heart of successful entrepreneurship lies something oddly more abstract, an accurate insight into the causes of human unhappiness. To be an entrepreneur means essentially to become an expert in the things that make life difficult for people. That's because every properly ambitious business is in some way trying to fix things for other people. And the bigger and more original what you're trying to fix happens to be, the more successful your business can be. Because consumer society is now well developed, it may be easy to think that all the big problems out there already have thousands of fixes anyway. Think of all those car companies or pizza outlets or news websites. We surely have enough of everything. What could we possibly add to what's already out there? But to get a sense of the vast opportunities that still remain in capitalism, all you need to do is ask yourself where and in what areas you're unhappy in the course of an average day. Every unhappiness is really a new business waiting to be born.
He's very true.
Your frustrations are a nearly inexhaustible source of raw materials out of which the businesses of the future can be built. So while there may already be plenty of breakfast cereals and t-shirts and cell phones and cab rides for sale, there's so much more that frustrates and depresses us. Think of how difficult it is to get on with one's partner, educate children, cope with anxiety, discover what you want to do with your life, find a nice place to live, calm down in the evening. One could go on and on. Our griefs and irritations are endless, thankfully for the budding entrepreneurs. The biggest first step to take towards entrepreneurship is therefore to learn to study your own unhappiness and what might possibly heal it for you and others. When profits decline in businesses, it's really the result of too many people throwing themselves at trying to fix the same area because they can't think of anything more innovative to do, rather than start a new airline, mobile phone company or supermarket chain. And by contrast, healthy profits are a reward for understanding and mastering an area of human distress ahead of anyone else. Of course, ideas aren't enough on their own. You need to take care of practicalities and money, but they won't help you if your original psychological insight into human unhappiness isn't sound. And by the same token, if your insight into what makes people unhappy is razor sharp, and your solutions bold, then however difficult the journey, your business will stand a high chance of making money and benefiting humanity too.
Thank you. All right. So, oh, God. So this kind of gives you a better overview of what the whole scenario around entrepreneurship looks like. But beyond the whole scenario we talked about, there's also opportunities out there for everybody. Just in the last decade, in 2018, Canada 2018 budget had continued investment in women and entrepreneurs. As of February 28th, about almost 6 years ago, the Financial Post reported that by far the largest net new impact on Canada's entrepreneur class, which yielded $1.65 billion in new financing being made available to women business owners to be delivered over the 3 years through Business Development Canada and Export Development Canada, basically known as BDC and EDC. So what they both said that small businesses is the portal through which many people enter the economic mainstream. Business ownership allows individuals to achieve financial success as well as pride in their accomplishment, which the majority of small businesses are still owned by males, white collar males. In the past 2 decades, it has seen an increase in the number of businesses owned by women and an increase flux on them altogether. So again, when you look at industry sectors, when you pick a product or you pick a brand, the goods producing industry sector is very, very important. The largest of the goods producing sector are normally in construction and in manufacturing. When you look at industry sectors, especially in construction businesses, they're often started by skilled workers. So people like electricians, people who go to school. Even in our school right now, we have a program for electrician, and these electricians end up working in an apprenticeship, working in some companies, and then eventually working on their own. So when you look at such electricians, painters, plumbers, home builders, manual blue collar work, they generally work on local projects. And food manufacturing as well is primarily the domain of large companies, but there is exceptions to manufacturing. Okay, a lot of times you have other examples in which manufacturing enterprises where components come from, say, Ontario and the Philippines, and then assembled in either China or Wisconsin. for different needs. So you can see a lot of industry sectors in manufacturing, in construction, building, and even in agriculture as well. So there is a lot of opportunity down the line. There's also opportunities for service producing entrepreneurs. A lot of them provide services but don't make tangible goods. So again, myself, I give you the service of education. I bring in 2 decades worth of industry, business related topics, and you guys are subscribing to my class. Okay. However, I'm not your entrepreneur of Centennial College. If I was, I don't know where I'd be, but definitely not here. But for many of us, we're consultants, we're advisors, we're so many individuals all together, and we provide a service but don't make tangible goods. Okay, so eventually, we look at retail and wholesale trade, transportation and financing, entertainment and recreation, even accommodations, food and services, and any number of other ventures. They all formulate a service that we give. Okay, so when you stay at a hotel, Airbnb, take an Uber, some of these individuals, they're entrepreneurs. Okay, so many small businesses in the sector are in fact retailers. Retailers give you a service of buying items, but they buy goods from other firms and they sell them to consumers in stores, by phone, through direct mail, or other different mechanisms. In fact, entrepreneurs are turning increasingly to the internet as a venue for startup ventures. For a good example, look at an individual called Tony Roeder, for example. Tony Roeder, who has a fascinating idea, who had a fascination and an interest in radio and a radio flyer wagon that many of today's adult children have owned, even myself. I had a radio flyer wagon, which I love. And it was actually a movie that was made in the 90s called Radio Fly. It was a very touching movie. But as adults, we owned it, and as grown-ups, we wanted it. Okay, so in 1998, Tony Roeder, he started an online store through at that time Yahoo.com to sell red wagons from his home, and in 3 years, he turned that small business, like my friend did for motorcycles, a small business into $1 million business, and then he sold that business off. Okay, that's not bad. So other small businesses owners in this sector are wholesalers. They sell products to businesses that buy them from resellers or sell the company use. So a local bakery, for example, is acting to resell them to a retail or to a store or to another example of a wholesaler. A high proportion of small businesses in the sector provide professionals for businesses or personal services. So doctors, dentists are part of the service industry, and as are insurance agents, accountants, lawyers. It goes on and on and on. So when you look at businesses that provide personal services such as dry cleaning, hairdressing, esthetician, nail salon, my favorite, the activities that you guys have to do is that many of them complement what's needed in the community, which is very unique. They complement what's needed in the community, and eventually they find a niche in that area. Okay. But please remember, throughout our conversation, we talk about ups and downs, advantages and disadvantages. Okay. So there are a lot of advantages and disadvantages going in with the conversation. So a lot of times, the advantages is that there is independence, lifestyle choices, financial rewards, lots of them, learning opportunities, learning curves, and a creative freedom and personal satisfaction that people start their own company. But please remember, guys, it is a financial risk. There's a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, a lot of panic, a lot of time commitment, and even an undesirable outcome, meaning that you expect it to sell 100 units every month. You're lucky to sell even one. Okay. Do you still want to stay in the business? And some people say, listen, I'll go until the end because I love what I do. And somehow they do it. And that's what makes it amazing. People stick around. I've always talked to entrepreneurs. They stick around nonstop. And they always said that one day it will be good. One day it will be amazing. And one day it will be exciting. Okay. And they made it. They made it really, really well. So a lot of times ownership options and ideas come from everywhere. When you look at the ownership options and ideas around us, a lot of times what occurs is that based on the ownership and the ideas, you look at the most common ownership out there and the riskiest out there. And a lot of times, based on those items, you look at the most common and the most riskiest option that's starting from scratch. And a lot of times, what approaches here is that whenever you look at this approach, it lets you start with a clean slate and allows you to build a business that you want. Okay, you want to select a service that you're starting from offering, and you want to secure a location, hire people when you need them, and then it's up to you to develop your customer base, build your reputation, and grow your business. Okay, so there's a company called Red um, Red Eye in First. Okay, and they talk about success boxed water companies and the fact that people like water. What about having boxed water? Would that be more efficient than plastic? Who knows? However, it will be different, but a lot of times in the end of the day, when you think outside the box, get it? Box? People like to make something new, okay? So definitely, I like to drink out of water, and some people like to drink out of plastic. Some people like metal. I got my metal thing here too. I don't, okay? But there's always a will and there's always a way, and definitely you can take advantage of that. Now, some people, unfortunately, they simply do not have an idea. However, the other idea you could do, guys, is nonetheless buy an existing company. Okay, hear me out on this. Okay, if you decide to buy an existing business, some things will be easier. Why? Think about it. All you have to do is turn a key, go in, and the business is yours. Okay, but for a price. So you'll already have a proven product, a current customers, active suppliers, and a known location. Okay, so everything is there. All you have to do is go into it. But a lot of times, the employees are trained. The workers just tell us, just pay me, and I'll come back to you. And some people find that buying a business rather than starting a business might be better because you'll find it much easier to predict the success of future. The company's already there. And a lot of times what happens is that people retire, people go back to school, people have family, and they simply say, listen, I cannot run this business anymore. You run it. And in some cases, maybe it's going to be expensive, but you might have an offer to say, listen, I got, instead of your $500,000 you want for this business, I'm willing to give you $200,000 and I'll give you 5% return every year, passive income. Knowing that you made this much and knowing that you're willing to take a risk, some people might say, sure, I'll do it. And some people say, no, I want $500,000 because down the line, I probably hurt the company in the end of the day and I know it will crash. You never know. But this is an option. So when you talk about opening a existing business, one of the most popular ways to open a business that's already succeeding is my favorite, franchise. Yes, guys, franchise. So if you are on campus and some of you guys are in the dorms, and I love your stories about dorm stories. So some of you guys told me you guys always go to McDonald's down the street on Progress and Markham. Whatever it is, it's a good diet to be in. But just so you know, across from our college, that McDonald's, okay, that McDonald's is actually a franchise. So that means somebody privately owns it. Okay, so you can buy a franchise, and a franchisor, which is the company, okay, that sells the franchise. So in this case, let's talk about McDonald's. They grant the franchisee, a buyer, okay, uh, yourself or whoever wants to buy it, the right to use a brand name to sell its goods or services. And a franchise is a market products that in a variety of industries, including you can franchise food like McDonald's, Subway, Chick-fil-A, Burger King, my favorites. Okay. You can do retail. Okay. So there's a lot of retail stores that are franchised, like No Frills, Uniqlo, and beyond. Even hotels, guys. Holiday Inn is a franchise. However, Holiday Inn costs like $5 million. I'm not sure if anybody has 5 million in their pocket. I think I have like what, $10. Okay. All right, let's do crowdfunding. But at the end of the day, guys, when you look at it, even travel, real estate, Remax, in Century 21, they are franchise. Business services like KPMG is a franchise. Cleaning service, there's a lot of like I think Penguin Cleaning Service is a franchise. Even things like Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig for weight loss centers is a franchise. And then there's small franchises. Here's a good idea. You know, a lot of times franchises, they offer you a lot. Yeah,
Okay,
which one?
I want to ask a question, sir.
Sure.
Now, buying a franchise,
Yeah.
if one doesn't have a basic knowledge of running a business,
Mhm.
buying a franchise, it's more like useless. Because if you get a franchise, you're going to run it down. But if you
Yeah.
have, I think the most important thing here is having the basic knowledge of running a business. Now, the issue is how do you get customers? Then you can get a franchise and then build from there. But if you don't have a basic knowledge of running a business and you go get a franchise, you run it down. That's what I
I
think.
agree. So
Yeah.
I'll give you my take on it. Okay. So you mentioned a good thing. People actually can lose their franchise, and it's not just like I cannot get business, and it went down the hill. It's also that the company, like McDonald's, if you do not meet a certain criteria of quality, and based on the article, the document, if you break some protocols, for example, like if you put on your menu things that are not part of the McDonald's line of portfolio, they may take it away from you. Okay, so if the bathrooms are not clean, there's a lot of complaints on it. You're saying bad things about the franchise. They may say, "Listen, we can take it away from you. It's not yours. It's our name." So yes, there is situations where franchises did not do well, and like everything, it's a risk. But when you mention about clients, I just want to mention to you that a lot of times within the clients, their goal, because you pay a franchise fee. Now, when I showed you McDonald's, McDonald's costs roughly between $1 million to about $3.5 million. So people put money in McDonald's, I would say between you and I, they have to know what they're doing. Okay. So a lot of times, when they know what they're doing, it's really good. And same with Tim Hortons. Okay. Tim Hortons is it's no gimmick. People need coffee. People want donuts and wraps. Tim Hortons has that. Okay. But the thing is that when you pay into a franchise, you're paying like, let's say $1 million to the franchise. And then every year you give royalties or every month. So even though your franchises make like afterwards, like maybe $500,000 every year, you are supposed to pay us, I think like 10% of it, just a royalty. And then afterwards, they might tell you, oh, by the way, 2% of your yearly profits also going to marketing. Marketing means that if we sell it well, then your sales increase. And you want that. You don't want to say, no, I'm not paying 2%. So you're paying out 12%. And on top of that, depends on where you set it up. And this is where it hurts the most. I heard situations at McDonald's where you bought McDonald's in, let's say, 2018. And in 2022, they came up to you and say, oh, by the way, you got to renovate your store that you just bought 4 years ago. And on top of that, all your equipment is outdated. So now you have to take out a loan for like $1 million. Okay. So be it about bad management, be it about how McDonald's treats you, it can really be against what you would accomplish. But the idea here, it's a proven business. So there are situations the franchises do bad, but please remember, guys, that in most cases, that franchises are what we call a proven business. Okay, in the easiest sense, if you know how to manage your company, if you have experience, and if you like what you're doing, McDonald's sells itself. Okay, people do not come to McDonald's and say, maybe I'll go to McDonald's, maybe I'm gonna walk towards Centennial and buy the food off of the our wonderful entrepreneurial cafes that we have in our residency and in our main campus. Okay, they know what they're buying there. Okay, so whenever you go to McDonald's, the same quality, the same speed, the same price will always be there. But regardless, if you're interested in franchises, the top 10 franchises in the world, or yeah, I would say in the world, number one, McDonald's. Number two, 7-Eleven. Number three, Dunkin' Donuts, not available in Canada, not as of yet. Number four, UPS stores. People love the UPS stores. It's a easy seller. Number five, Remax Real Estate. Number six, Sonic Drive-In, a U.S. company. Number seven, Great Clips. Number eight, my favorite, Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Number nine, Hardee's, another thing not available in Canada. And number 10, something I need, and maybe a couple of you guys need, sport clips, haircuts. Okay, so in Canada, and I just want to mention about what about Canada and franchises. One out of every 14 workers in Canada are directly or indirectly, meaning that they might be a supplier, are employed or working by a franchise industry, and there are estimated 1,300 franchises in Canada right now. Individual investment vary widely. It could be $10,000 for a small franchise, up to millions of dollars for a bigger franchise. KFC, for example, and I'll just give you numbers in KFC for Canada because I mentioned about McDonald's USA. In KFC, they want you to have a investment pool of 1.3 to 2.5 million dollars. The fee includes the cost of the property, the equipment, the training, startup costs, and a franchise fee. It's a one-time charge for the right to operate a KFC outlet in Canada. McDonald's is the same price. I mentioned it's about $1 to $3 million. Subway, Eat Fresh shops offer more affordable alternatives, and they start around $100,000, and they can go up to roughly about 300,000. Okay, so I gave you a list of franchises by investment levels. In addition to your initial investment, you'll have to pay two other fees on a monthly basis. I mentioned a royalty fee, could be 3%, upwards of 12% for continued support from the franchise, the right to keep the company's name, plus an advertising fee to cover your share of the national and regional trading of billboards, advertising, and commercials. And you'll also be expected to buy your product from the franchisor. So that means buying materials, buying the cups, buying balloons, whatever it is, you got to buy directly through them, not through somebody else. Okay. But please remember, guys, I gave you a love story here. Okay. And the love story is that starting a business, even a franchise, is exciting. But the reality is, businesses do fail. Okay. And we have to ask ourselves, as entrepreneurs, as students, as people who are so eager and love to learn business, why do business fail? Okay. And there's a lot of reasons why. Okay. Bad business ideas happen. And even though you have a good hobby, it's your own hobby. Okay. I cannot stop it. Like any idea, a business idea can be flawed. Okay. Meaning you have the idea, it's just putting together in the business wise, it doesn't make sense, either in the conception stage of your idea or the execution stage. If you try selling snowblowers in Hawaii as a business, Hawaii is all rain and heat. There's no snow in Hawaii, nor in Nigeria. in Sudan or Saudi Arabia and in Nepal, or, well, no, forget Nepal. Forget I even said Nepal. In say Thailand or Laos or anywhere close to it. Okay, we don't need snowblowers. Okay, you could count on little competition, but you're doomed to fail. You may also have cash flow problems, meaning you have a good idea, but too many businesses are underfunded, don't know how to balance their checkbooks. The owners borrow enough money to set up the business, but doesn't have enough extra cash to operate it properly during the startup phase when very little money is coming in, but a lot is going out. Then, of course, you deal a lot with the managerial inexperience or incompetencies. Many new business owners have no experience in running a business. Many have limited management skills. Maybe an owner knows how to make a market product, but doesn't know how to manage people. Maybe an owner can attract and keep talented employees and not do really well with them. Or maybe an owner has poor leadership skills and isn't willing to plan ahead. And that could be a problem. So sometimes you deal with lack of customer focus. A major advantage of small businesses is the ability to provide special attention to special customers, but some small businesses fail to seize this advantage. And perhaps the owner doesn't anticipate customer needs or keeps up with changing markets or customer focus practices or competition. Then, of course, the last thing I come to mind that comes to mind is the inability to handle growth. Okay, so you think of sales increase would be a good thing, but often it's also can be a nightmare, but because sometimes it can be a major problem. So when a company grows, a company scales, expands, lots of money comes in. The more you make, the more problems you get. Entrepreneurs need to delegate work and build business structure that can handle increase in volume and quantity. Some owners don't make the transition quickly, and sometimes they're overwhelmed by it, and things don't get done when it's needed. Customers become irate, and expansion actually can damage the company in the long run. Okay, so please take that into consideration. So just to end our notes, some key takeaways that I do want to talk about. As an entrepreneur, as we mentioned in our class, is someone who identifies a business opportunity, assumes the risk of creating and running their own business, and taking advantage of it. The three characteristics of entrepreneur activities are innovating, running a business, and risk taking. And small businesses is independently owned and operated. It exerts little influence in its industries and has fewer than 100 employees. Okay. Industry is a group of companies that compete with one another to sell similar products. There are two broad types of industries that we look for, the good producing sector and service producing sector. And once you decide on a business, you'll definitely need to create a business plan, read it over, document what you are going to do, and identify the goals of your proposals through business and explain how you will achieve them. And hopefully, as much as I want to look at it, I want you guys to succeed. Okay. And definitely, if you have an idea, I want to hear about it. Okay. So, to end up on a good note, what I want to do is I want to show you one last, I call it more influential video, one more video for the house. It's only about 6 minutes, but this one is how in the world do I start a business? And this will give you some explanation on how you can do it really well. Take a look, enjoy, thumbs it up for me if you're ready for the weekend and if you can hear the sound. And here you guys go. One last video for the house. Enjoy.
Start our own businesses.
Can you hear
Public
it?
space is filled with reports of new ventures.
Okay.
But the
Good.
reporting
Thank
on
you.
entrepreneurship is heavily skewed in one
Thanks.
particular direction, towards people who've started new kinds of businesses, pioneers who've pushed the boundaries of commerce by creating a wholly new offering, usually through the help of some form of innovative piece of technology. The new entrepreneurs might, for example, have invented an app for measuring and controlling the humidity of clothes closets, or they might have come up with a tiny sensor that can detect hunger in domestic animals, or they've built a social platform to connect people planning a trip to Italy. This emphasis on novelty can leave us feeling that the chief and correct way to become an entrepreneur is invariably going to be through radical, technologically based innovation. We may therefore, as we contemplate an entrepreneurial future, ask ourselves, with increasing panic, what entirely unthought of idea we might ourselves come up with to propel us forwards. In our frenzy, the answers we arrive at may start to lean towards the implausible, the trite, or the naive. But there is another path. Most of the economy is made up of businesses doing stuff that people have always been doing, or have been doing for a very long time. Making daily bread, or shirts, or trousers, teaching languages, or giving travelers a bed for the night, raising animals, or fixing teeth. In other words, most businesses operate in areas that economists call mature, sectors where it's rather hard to come in and make a surprising fortune. But that doesn't mean these sectors should be ignored. Far from it. There are a plethora of hugely meaningful possibilities hiding for us in plain sight on account of one, perhaps surprising fact about the economy. A majority of businesses don't love what they do. We might make a basic distinction between two kinds of businesses: pragmatic businesses and businesses of love. Pragmatic businesses are everywhere. They almost define for us what we think business is in its essence. They know how to make their product or service with a sound degree of competence, but there is a practical, unidealistic edge to the way they go about things. There isn't anything very powerful drawing them to their particular offering. They might easily have been doing something else. They don't care about the long term. The business is only a vehicle for an underlying financial purpose. One eye is always focused on how to sell up. If the owners didn't have to work, they almost certainly wouldn't. Such pragmatic businesses may do fine, or even very well, for a long time, but the motivations are easy enough to spot. A discerning eye can tell something crucial within minutes of walking through the door. This is not being done with or for love. Pragmatic businesses dominate the economy. One might say that over 85% of businesses fall into this category. But there are parts of the economy, and they are heavily in the minority, where things are being done rather differently. Businesses of love produce many varied things, but there are some underlying principles holding them together. Here, love means a total commitment to excellence of a given product or service, a desire to reinvest almost all profit into guaranteeing this excellence, a focus on the long term, because the business is, for its owners, the meaning of life. There is no interest in selling the firm right now, or perhaps ever. The dearest wish might be to give it to someone you love, like your child. Love means you'd almost do it for free, and don't only because you need to live. You need to pay your employees, and you want the business to be able to last into the long term. The product or service is what you love, and you love it inordinately. Businesses of love are the sort where the owner has scoured the world for the best kind of flour and wakes up excitedly at dawn to check on the progress of each of the loaves. Or the aircraft factory, where the workers think of every plane they're building almost like a relative they will always care for. Or the stationery shop, where notebooks and paper are viewed as objects of beauty rather than utility. Or the travel agency that won't rest until it knows its clients have enjoyed their trips rather than just paid for them. Or the sandwich store that views a fine avocado and chicken roll as one of the authentic joys in a tricky life. Businesses run for love are not always successful in the standard financial sense of the term. Some might just be returning a little over 3% a year. But for these enterprises, money is only ever a means to a greater, more purposeful end. There are huge opportunities to hand for any would-be entrepreneurs, because most of the economy is in the hands of people who don't love what they're doing. Most law firms, dentist offices, hotels and bakeries aren't in it for love. They may be efficient and canny, but they are ultimately just waiting to sell up. We don't need to be very original to succeed. We don't need to have invented anything very new. We just need to make sense of our lives and make an honest living along the way, to offer the world something we love a little more intensely than most people do.
Thank you for commenting, liking,
Right.
and subscribing. Our book, A Job to Love, is a practical guide to finding fulfilling work. To find out more,
Thank you.
follow the link on your screen now.
All right, no problem. Okay, so that is all she wrote. Just before you guys exit today, I just want to mention a couple of things for today. A couple of items in the key, okay? So if you guys go into our class, Fundamentals for Business, we're currently in week number 8, okay? And under week number 8, I gave you all the overviews, and down below, I also gave you, if you guys remember from our last half of the semester, there's a couple of quizzes, okay? And this one is in relations to quiz, they call it chapter 14, but it just prepares you guys for marketing, and we're going to look at marketing very, very shortly but slowly. But just take a look at it. If you're looking for a book, that can help you out. But just hopefully make sure that you can finish it within the given time range. This one is going to be open as of today, but you have until March the 17th to do it, okay? But please make sure to do it because, again, this system is very time sensitive. Once it pops, it cannot stop, okay? So please make sure that you'll complete it on time and get it, okay? Inevitably, on Monday, I will have this this particular subject open, okay? It will be available for you guys, and I will open up week number 9 for you. On week number 9, I'm going to give you, from what I see here, I'm just going to go into my side. I am going to give you guys a assignment, and this assignment is going to be a business case analysis assignment. So please make sure that you can see it and prepare for it. That would be week number 9. And then week number 10, I'm gonna release our business venture group assignment, okay? I'm gonna put you guys in groups, okay? And in these groups, they're gonna be roughly, I'm gonna just check the numbers. Usually I do the last round with the numbers. So business group venture, we have roughly about 41 students. Only a 14 attend or 13 attend. I'm not sure why, but please make sure you attend because I'm going to put you in groups of roughly 8. Okay. Some people will not respond. Some people will be MIA and some people will just simply not do their work. But please let me know who's who in your group and make sure that you find a leader. Make sure that they respond to you and hopefully make sure that you can complete the work by the end of the semester. Okay. And that will be our last and final assessment. Any questions? Any answers? Anyone want to go into business? Yeah.
Just to be sure, you talked about the quiz.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
It's open. It's open in week 8. So in week 8 activity for it's open from this week, March 18th until March 17th.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And I think I showed it on my screen. You see my screen right now? This thing? Okay. Yeah, it's there right now. Okay. So it's available. Take a look at it. And if you are gonna spend some time on Monday, I will have the video for you for this week. And also I'm gonna have the video for hopefully I'm gonna give you guys the if you want to do the case study, get a head start on it. You can look at it on Monday. And if you want to start it, you can start it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys. Okay, guys. So that is all I have for you guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. You guys have an amazing one. Looks fantastic outside. Make the most of it. Looks almost like patio season. Hopefully it will be fun. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you here next